It's heating up.
Sorry, sir.
You think that's funny, Private?
You, again. Oh, if you must. I'm Captain Ort...
What do you think you are doing?
Dinor. A brief history of sorceries. Tojageta, friend. Kira Lizor. Oh, do pardon my language, my friend. But that is quite the startling revelation. So much sadness, so much anguish. Eglandir's tale is heartrending, though it seems that in the pursuit of retribution, he has himself become as great a ghoul as those that wronged him. Does he not see that I am now the one who is to be wronged? Why, oh why must he make me, of all gentle-minded and life-loving creatures, why must he make me the target of his imperishable hate? Whom have I ever harmed? I live for books, not brutality. So, let us approach the situation with reason and ask ourselves, where do we go from here? Though, first let me say this. Rashizm bil kushum zunum. From my heart, I thank you for warning me. I thank you and I trust you. So pray, let me pose the question. What do you advise we should do? My amulet? But it is Haxmagi, a sacred token that houses the presence of my ancestors. No, I cannot part with my talisman, the keepsake of my soul. When you put it like that, I guess I cannot say that it is. I do this very reluctantly, but fine. Have my talisman. May it fool the elf that would see me dead. Turjageta, friend. Yes. Have you given him the Haxmagi?
Snake, wing of worm. Ah, gracious patron, I see your tarred eyes looking a bit teary. I've just the potion for that. Or would you prefer a toasty fire spell to dry those vapors?
A slug club if you've got an eye for farm potatoes.
Not in the mood for cheese. An excuse is more hose than a slice of this fine Norman bread.
Lucky find!
For the Legion.
Well, you certainly are my hero. The rock upon which I may rest my weary soul in these trying and troubled times.
Never fear, Millie. As long as I'm around, know they're on your heels.
Assure me, dear Septimus, that you haven't been fighting those awful orcs. I can't bear to imagine something would happen to you.
Oh, but don't you worry, Millie.
A book about setting up the perfect crime.
Esmeralda has interesting taste in
But what
literature.
if you were to be ambushed, caught unawares? Oh, catch me, for I might faint.
Where's Jake? Did he finally run off with that white-haired woman? What was her name? Candice? Squeak! Esmeralda's a funny character. She's always got ham on the brain. I've never been inside her secret room, but I bet it's full of hams too. I'd go in and see if I were tall enough to reach the button. Say!
Tell me, Septimus, would your wife or sweet...
So that's what that did.
Esmeralda carries lots of cuts of meat. She carves them up herself, you know. An expert knifer, that one.
A bloody dagger. Could this have been involved in the crime?
It certainly piques one's interest, doesn't it?
You there will have none of that, you hear?
Mistress. Ah, so that's what that did. A bloody dagger. Could this have been involved in the crime?
It certainly piques one's interest, doesn't it? Well, am I right?
I bet you're a real war hero.
Legion's greetings, Hunter. You claim to possess evidence that implicates Lady Esmeralda in the murder of her husband? Well...
The Hunter returns! I hope you are here to shop. I am Esmeralda, wife of Jake and Nan. Listen, if you're going to accuse me of something, you would better find the evidence to back up your ridiculous claims.
Starstone? I've never heard of such a thing. Dear Jake had a mineral collection, yes. As far as I knew, it was one of his pastimes, nothing more. Do you mean to imply he collected something dangerous? Something that may have gotten him into trouble? Oh, this is all too much. I feel like I'm drifting from nightmare into nightmare.
Well, what do you want to know? Listen, if you're going to accuse... Perhaps it is you who should explain your presence in my cellar.
And the dagger? It's simply a butcher knife used by my late husband to cut meat. He did so love to cook, the dear.
What'll you think of next? Accusing me of bashing him over the head with a frying pan?
Oh, that horrid tome of ill repute. It isn't mine, it was Jake's. He was a politician, don't you see? Always on the lookout for plotting rivals. Always trying to be one step ahead. Really, I should have thought a source hunter of all people would appreciate my dear husband's sense for survival.
Oh, don't put stock in the hastily scribbled words of a lovelorn fool. This letter, it was a show of passion. A poorly worded passion I did not echo in the least. The Duke, he's like a spoiled child. He's not a man. He's not like Septimus.
But all of it is circumstantial. I've a perfectly logical explanation for every piece of so-called evidence against me, and yet you've been trailing me like a bloodhound. People seem to want to believe I am guilty, so let me tell you something I've been keeping to myself. Perhaps it may yet lead to the true culprit.
Over the last few months, Jake grew distant. Distant and dark somehow. Something in him changed. I can't quite put my finger on it, but he was no longer the gentleman he used to be. In fact, he scared me. It all began the day he met Evelyn, Master Theliron's apprentice. She healed him of what we all believed to be a fatal wound he suffered hunting boars. I think he became obsessed by her, or obsessed by the secrets I just know she holds. Talk to this woman. There is more to her than meets the eye. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she belongs to that sect. You know, to those who worship a goddess without name and practice rituals of blood.
I never liked her from the moment I met her. Men cannot see past her beauty, but I have gazed her in the eye and it was death that leered back at me.
She hails from Silverglen, a village in the forest north of Sicil. How she made it past the undead without a Legion escort, I'll never know. Though I can hazard an eerie guess. If anyone killed my Jake, it must be her. She had her claws in him for many long months, and finally she must have cut too deeply.
Ah, hello. I suppose which one? I've written, Esmeralda, more works of lyrical mastery than I can count. All that letter proves is my devotion to my lady, not It's very tragic.
Here I wait for thee in the dark. But the stab shall bring the light. Yes, yes. Have you made the orc feel the black and biting cold center toward the gangling grip of the greedy grey?
Yes. So it is.
So it is. By Angus, the Impaler's favourite steak, you've done well by me. Oh, Ravager of Gazaldagar, the last of their line is dead. The House of Gandavon has been avenged. Sweet flowing blood. The quest of decay is at an end. My wealth is yours. My life is death's. By the hollow sockets of the Voidwood Eye Gouger, I bid thee thanks and fond farewell.
I must focus.
Here I wait. Yes?
Yes.
Not in the mood for cheese.
Performers, showmen, show all of them. Sign seal what you're made of.
Can you spare a coin?
You think that's funny, Private?
Sir, no, sir.
Oh, what now? I'm Captain Aureus, if you must. If you must. If you must. What about it? Well, have you found any incriminating evidence against her? If so, let's so. You found a bloodied knife in Esmeralda's cellar. Guess you can scratch the top candidate off your list of cliched clues, then. Not exactly enough to arrest her for, is it? How to plan the perfect murder. Really? Really? She might as well wear a dress with the words "I killed Jake and I liked it" embroidered on it. But that alone wouldn't suffice to convince me. So the knife, the book, the letter, they seem harmless enough by themselves, but in conjunction they do paint a pretty grim picture. Fine then. If you're certain she did it, then I shall have Esmeralda. Surely you have exhausted all the evidence that was to be found? No. A good bloodhound knows when the trail has gone cold. So be a good dog now, won't you? Oh, what now? Whom would you have the Legion arrest? Oh, still. Surely you have exhausted all the evidence that was to be... It was stolen? Yes, yes. Well, I assume it hasn't crawled back to its grave. So have you found any suspect? She vanished into thin air, did she? Could she be behind this rotten business after all? Track her down. Whom would you have the Legion arrest?
Right you are. Arresting someone without sufficient proof would make us tyrants.
How about you make up your mind before addressing me? All this pointless chatter is getting on my nerves.
March! Recruits! That was sloppier than Sicilian stew. Again!
He's a con man! Don't donate your time to that.
Let us see if you can choose the finest greens!
'Twas Jagetta, friend. He has gone. Oh, Dijlazim az Ashtanek, you have saved me. Thank you, my friend, thank you. It is a terror to know someone prays for your demise, but you have undone it. The sun that is your chivalry has dissolved the dew that was Eglandir's hate. May the gods bless your heart and shield your soul from harm. Volume 1, Volume 2, but where's the third one gone? Shatsu.
Good on you. These boss men respect me. So what they say?
Well, what does it matter? Daylight was more suited to my nature anyway.
Yes.
Oh, and don't forget the time he got caught passing a love note to the Lizard Councillor's wife.
Have you found us a job yet? We'll take anything. Really? So there's a captain offering booze and brass for a bit of crate loading. Gods be praised. You've done it, friend. Off we go.
Never heard about the time the captain took the Duchess of Federal's carriage for a joyride.
Must we truly waste precious time providing seamen with new situations? Each sifting grain of sand in the hourglass is another warning. Act now or open the doors to death.
As fine a specimen as one of her stocks here. Speaking of youthful gore, that loopy legionnaire really thinks that orky charm loves him.
Ahoy, sailor! Are you enjoying the... Aye, that Cecil's worse than a rooster. Crowing all around town about matters he ought to know are better kept quiet. Well, if you know about the staff, I suppose you also know it's gone without a trick. For my part, I haven't a clue where it could have gone. Overboard, stolen, or vanished into thin air. Though I'm quite eager to see it return, I've got a reputation to uphold, you know. Wouldn't hurt to ask some of my men. I tried myself, but sailors tend to be a bit tight-lipped when they're afraid of getting one another in some trouble. Seaman's code, you know. Not to rat out a fellow sailor.
Sauce, here, was too busy dodging fireballs to notice anything myself. The councillor's wife.
Is that why we never sail to Yuthel Gore anymore? Sauce? Here in Seal. Now that you mention it, I noticed Dietmar, a fellow merchant travelling with us, carrying a sealed box off the ship during the attack. At the time, I figured he was just escaping with his personal effects. But it could well have been that staff you're talking about. Well, sure, I saw him slip off the ship, but I haven't a clue where it could possibly be now. Captain Conrad's the man to ask for such matters.
Sauce? Here. Staff of what now? No, never heard of it. Don't know much about him myself, except that he and Captain have partnered up more than a few times for long journeys. That loopy legionnaire really thinks that orchid charm.
Heard anything about the whereabouts of the magic stick yet? Don't know the details of what? That weasel has it for sure. But I'll tell you this. I didn't speak of that stuff to a soul on board. If he's the one who took it, he must have known it was on the ship before stepping foot on her decks. I'm sure he'll make a run for it, probably by boat. I'd look for him on an out-of-sight beach somewhere. He's probably there now, trying to launch a vessel in private, if he hasn't already escaped that.
I love it, nature.
Psst! Ever heard about the time the captain took the Dutch...
Sauce hunters, eh? If you've got a favourite sheep, throwing that hog in the grinder can hardly make up for the... Let's see.
To what do I owe the repeated pleasure, Sauce Hunter? Far be it from her to tell her master what in the seven's name she's up to. The girl flew from here like she just heard the location of the Philosopher's Stone. She even left her pouch unattended in the next room. Most unlike her, to be sure. She usually keeps it within sight at all times. Very strange she'd leave it behind. It's in the next room if you'd like to take a look. I'd try her house, for starters. It's not far from here. I'll mark the location on your map. Yes, yes. The world belongs to the... To what do I owe the repeated... Far be it from her to tell her master what in the... She usually keeps it within sight at all times.
Toe of snake, wing of worm. Oh, and slice of...
So, she's got a lair on the beach, does she?
Perhaps that's where she stashed Jake's body.
Now this is valuable.
Enjoying the fair right away, my dear, just as fast as your boots can carry you. You found something decent to perform, I trust, and you've gathered enough actors to do it justice? Speak to Master Chaucer if you're ready for your debut. He alone can add... Well, I've a nope.
This is the finest show in the land.
You there? You look like an actor. What is it? This time, Katarina's given the go-ahead, has she? Oh, very well, then. Tell me when you're ready to begin, and I'll show you to your... Oh, I should have been one of the greats, but here I am. No. Really? I hadn't noticed. Ready for your trial by fire, you mean? There's no more savage foe than an audience, my dear. But I'm sure you'll do just fine. Not planning on playing to an empty audience, are you? Wait until I've gathered some victims to witness the spectacle, and then you can begin. Any last words?
You hear distant mutterings of curiosity as a small crowd shuffles toward your stage. A few moments longer, and everyone will be seated. Now, let's not be hasty. They may be dragging their feet, but your show is sure to knock the... Now, let's not be hasty. They may be dragging their feet, but your show is sure to knock the crowd's socks off. As soon as they settle into their seats, that is. The stage is yours.
The illusionist! I said, tis I!
The best in Sightseal! The best!
All right. He's a con man! Wow. Don't donate your time to that charlatan!
The crowd is completely appalled by your retelling. Are you sure that...
Tis I, Reginald, the illusionist! I said, tis I, Reginald, the illusionist!
All right.
He's a con man! Don't donate your time to
What
that...
is it this time? Ready for your trial? Not planning on...
You hear distant now. Let's not be hasty. They may be dragging their feet, but your show is sure to knock the crowd's socks off. As soon as they settle into their seats, that is.
The best!
I said, tis I, Reginald!
Cedric show is a
illusionist!
doozy! Woo!
The stage is yours. The crowd seems to know the tale. They wholly approve of your beginning.
Bravo!
The crowd is thrilled. Whatever will happen next is sure to excite them.
Fantastic! No, I hope there's an encore. Simply marvelous.
The crowd seem quite impressed with your delivery. Keep it up.
Fantastic!
The crowd gasps. They're on the edge of their seats. Go on. Push them over.
Simply marvellous.
Gasps ring out across the audience. They must know how it ends. They simply must.
All right.
The crowd explodes into applause and appreciation. You've woven them a tale of desperation and hope, and they are alive with the thrill of it.
I haven't seen a show like that in years. Oh, I'm all a quiver.
All right.
What is it this time? Bravo! Bravo! Well, I'm certainly not afraid of admitting when I'm wrong. That Katerina's... Tell me when you're ready to begin.
Enjoying the fair, aren't you? Enjoy as I speak to...
My gods! He's gone! Perhaps he's rolled beneath the stage. He couldn't have sprouted legs and wandered off. Where could he be? Where could he be? Who wants to point anymore?
A little privacy at last. Out of earshot of that contemptible jester. We can finally speak freely. Where shall we... My true name is Nick. In life, I was an entertainer aboard the ship of the famed Pontius Pirate. I once dared to defy him and he savagely beheaded me for the attempt. Little did I know the abuse was only beginning. A wandering sorcerer, mad as the day is long, found my severed head on the beach and resurrected me. I spent months in his company listening to him blather on about his every inane opinion. When I asked him to return my head to my body, it must be in the Black Cove still, he became enraged and tossed my head into the sea. Reginald stumbled upon me some days later and consigned me into his horrid little show. I know not how long I've been entertaining slack-jawed imbeciles at the Sicil Fair. All I know is I just can't take it anymore. That charlatan doesn't have a lick of his own talent, so he begs, borrows and beats it from those of us with a real vision for the stage. What I wouldn't give to give old Reggie a swift kick in the jugglers. Oh, to have legs again. More than anything. But the chances are so slim with the Black Cove utterly infested with Pontius's undead cronies. My poor lost body is among them, sightless and silent in their vile company. For all I know, they're using it as a coat rack. Traveller, if there were any way you would brave the cove's depths and reunite me with myself, you'd be doing me the only kindness I'd have received in as long as my poor memory serves.
Everything we do seems to fortify your abilities.
Quickly, before we're discovered, I must tell someone, anyone, the truth while I can. Come, I've a sword.
It's easy enough to gain new strength when one is carrying an entire...
Have no fear, my friend. I'm determined to prove my worth to you, but...
Come, I've a sword. A little privacy at last. My true name, little... When I asked Reginald, more than traveller, that what I wouldn't give, it won't be the worst indeed.
Mm-hmm.